Have you been constantly wondering about if now is the right time to buy or sell? Well, today we have a special guest, Eric Rothenberger, with the Eric Rothenberger team with Better Homes and Garden, and he is here to talk to us about the current market, if it's a good time to sell or buy, why do buyers and sellers get cold feet, and also talk a little bit about the rental market. So Eric, why don't we start with selling and buying? Do you feel that right now is a good time for buyers? Is it a good time for sellers? Why or why not?
I always have a saying with buying, when you're ready, willing, and able to buy is when you should buy.
Okay.
It's not like the stock market that you should time it. When you're ready, you're ready. As far as selling, I think there is sometimes a time to sell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously, right now is still a great time to sell, even though I feel like the market has softened out a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen some prices decrease slightly, maybe over the last month or so.
Oh, 100%. But I'm also seeing like people are actually getting inspections.
Yes.
You know, not that inspections completely went away, but when you look at percentages, inspections dropped down.
Mm-hmm.
Even my inspection company I used for years closed down over the last 2 years. But I'm starting to definitely see, you know, instead of 10, 15, 20 offers, I'm starting to see maybe 2 or 3. You know, I've even seen some sellers assist, you know, in some offers coming.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely the market's shifting. But as you know, it's not like a light switch. It's a slow process.
Yeah, it's a gradual process. The buyers right now who are saying, I want to wait for rates to drop, or the sellers that are saying, I want to wait for rates to drop because I have a low rate on my house right now. You know, some advice that I give them is if we can properly structure your new loan where it's affordable, you have the down payment money, you know, not caring so much just about the interest rate. If we can strategically, you know, put that loan together and make it make sense, then's the time to buy, because obviously you can always refinance later.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that one of the key factors is a lot of people is the knowledge or lack of knowledge, mm-hmm. where they might not know that you can structure your loan a certain way, or, you know, I learned years ago bridge loans and swing loans with
mm-hmm.
you. But a lot of buyers, you know, and consumers don't know that. They don't know that they could do these things. So lack of knowledge, I think, is a huge thing that's a hurdle for people not wanting to buy.
It's not the 20% down. There's so many options out there.
So I'm also seeing, I got 2 VA offers recently on a listing of mine. I got an FHA offer, and you know, when you look at, you know, even a year and a half, even a year ago, those offers weren't getting accepted because you had so many cash and 20% down.
Yeah.
So definitely, if buyers are on the sidelines right now, they need to not wait until the rates drop even further, because when they do, that's when everybody's going to jump in. What's going to happen to prices? They're going to go back up.
Right.
You know, so I think now, like I just said, I mean, I think when you're ready, willing, able to buy, you just buy. But if you are waiting, don't wait anymore. Now's the perfect time.
Yep. And so when we're talking about, let's say, the rental market, you know, I've seen rents on a single family home, $2,200, $2,500, $2,800. Now, most of those owners of those homes, they have to pay mortgages.
Right.
And if they bought the house, obviously their rate is right where, you know, normal rates are, especially if it's an investment property, the rates can be a little bit higher. So if somebody comes to you, a buyer, and says, I don't know, maybe I should rent for a little bit, and they're paying anywhere from $2,200, $2,800 a month, what is your best advice for them?
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I as an investor myself, you know, I look at, I've never not bought. So I had one rate as high as 9.6.
Yeah.
You know, on the one property that we just refinanced. Mm-hmm. But it still made sense for me. And why? Because people were paying so inflated prices for rent.
For rent, yeah.
And the mortgage, in most cases, I'd say, in my opinion, over 90%, the mortgage amounts are always going to be so much lower than you're paying for rent.
Right.
I mean, I have properties that I bought back in 2009 and 10. My mortgages on those properties are $400.
Yeah.
You know, so like there's no way. And these are townhouses.
Right.
I literally just seen something on the market for a townhouse, $3,900 for rent for a townhouse.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, depending on the price of the house you're looking at, right? I mean, I just ran some numbers for somebody. Yes, you can definitely have a $3,500 mortgage payment on a $500,000 house. But depending where your price point is, you may be able to get into that $2,200-$2,800 range, not even putting 20% down, maybe
Right.
5, maybe 10, maybe 3.5, and actually start building equity instead of paying, rent. That is money that's just getting wasted, in my opinion. Now, I've had some cases where buyers have put offers on houses, and then all of a sudden, once they get the paperwork or something happens, all of a sudden they're like, you know what, I don't want to do this. I'm getting cold feet. Or I'm sure in seller cases you've seen, they put their house up and they're like, well, now I can't find anything, and they get cold feet. So how do you talk to your buyers and sellers in that instance?
I'm a little bit more stern with my buyers. But you say the word cold feet. I'm dealing with that right now on a listing of mine.
Okay.
Where we were supposed to close on the 31st of December, and I got a call from the buyer's agent on the 30th that the buyer was no longer going to buy the property because he got cold feet.
Okay.
And then he said what had happened was the amount that he had to bring to closing was much higher than he thought, even though you guys are very good at, not you guys weren't the lender, but lenders are very good at, hey, this is the amount. And a lot of times it's actually lower than the amount they originally estimated. So it definitely was cold feet. That seller is now going to keep that deposit. But with buyers of mine, I'm very, very, very transparent on, once we commit to this thing, I kind of lay everything out very thoroughly. Make sure that before we sign these papers, and whether we're inspections or appraisals or what have you, I want to make sure that, they are committed, to buying this house. And it's not like years ago. Years ago, you're showing a buyer 60 homes.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
and then,
that.
and then on the house that they actually like, you're going back with their parents, then you're going back again.
With the inspector.
Well, you're not putting the offer until you've seen the house 3 times. So I think the cold feet is getting more prevalent now, or was, because you're seeing a house in 45 minutes and then you're putting an offer on it, a huge investment, one of the biggest investments. You're putting an offer on that house within an hour after you've just seen it.
Yeah.
So I think the quick stuff has to happen, and the decisions have to be made so quick where when they have time to sit and to really think about it, talk to their parents, their friends, their family, they're like, oh crap, did we make a bad decision?
Yeah.
And that's where the cold feet comes from, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it's also important to make sure that you are working with a local lender, somebody who knows what they're talking about, somebody who knows how to explain things. I've seen it 100 times where if somebody goes to an online lender, they just fill in their information real quick. They hit the button, it spits out a pre-approval, you're good to go. But they don't show them the fees. They don't show them, the amount of money and time that goes into the process, and what it really takes to buy a house, and explain, this is a 30-year loan, and this is what your payment's going to be. And if your taxes and insurance increase, your payment can increase. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. Having that personal touch with a local lender, I think, is very important.
I'm a 100% advocate on using a local lender. And when I have buyers, I always tell them, like, even on the listing side, they go off of what advice we give them, both on the buying and the selling side. So on the selling side, when we have multiple offers and, let's say we're comparing apples to apples, but one has a New York lender and one has a local lender, I mean, my advice is going to be go with the local lender, if it's comparing apples to apples. So when I get a new buyer or a buyer gets referred to me, I explain to make our offer better, not only to the listing agent, it's going to look better, but when we're sitting there and something goes wrong, I actually have somewhere I can go and talk to this lender in person, face to face.
Right.
Whereas an online lender, may be salaried or not really care if the deal closes. Whereas you guys here locally are an advocate of, hey, this is how we make our livelihood. We're not getting to closing, then I'm not getting paid, and I'm not going to have a paycheck. So
it's also our reputation, which is very important.
Absolutely.
I feel like, as good things happen, people don't talk as much. That one bad thing that could happen, you're just done. So reputation is very, very important, and we make sure that we take care of all of our customers in a manner where, word of mouth, referral, so on and so forth, which takes us into the next point, the spring market, right? We're past the holidays, the Christmas trees are down, and, now everybody's getting excited for the spring market. I don't know about you, but springtime comes and you kind of get like that, what is that called? Like that buying fever. Like you want to go out and do something. Like you want to get out of the house. You want to go buy something. And I feel like that's kind of why they call it the spring market. That's kind of when things start exploding. So what are your thoughts on this year? I know last year for a lot of people, it wasn't as busy, but what are your thoughts about this year?
So I think that so many people have kind of taken their foot off the gas over the fourth quarter.
Okay.
As far as consumers, with the holidays and everything, I think there is going to be a push.
Yeah.
Once the weather starts to break, maybe even into the beginning of March, because I think they're kind of analyzing. Our rate's going to drop even more. I think they've been pretty flat.
Yeah,
for the
they
most
have
part.
been. Yep.
But no, I agree with you. I think they realize now that they've taken their foot off the gas for so long, it's like they got to jump back in. And I think a lot of people are going to be thinking like that, and it's going to be a little bit of a flood.
Yeah, I think it's kind of come to a point where rates they've come down a teeny bit since, the sevens. They've come down a little bit, and people are like, all right, well, it is what it is. We have to move. Our family size grew, or, no, we're at the point where we want a rancher now. We don't want, 2 floors, whatever the case may be. I think a lot of consumers are getting into a point where they're just like, well, just got to jump in and do it.
Right. Are you seeing as a lender, like I've been hearing rumors of different programs, the longer years for the mortgage.
Yeah, we've kind of heard about that. I mean, Fannie Mae did increase their loan limits a little bit. FHA increased their loan limits a little bit. So now, I feel there's a lot more houses out there, 500,000-600,000, and with FHA, they're around 541 and change now, the loan amount. Like, I remember years ago when they were in the mid 200,000s was the max loan amount you could get. So yeah, the programs are expanding. Down payment programs are still out there for down payment assistance. There's new stuff coming out every day. So it's really important as a buyer, that we discuss all those options depending on what your goals are, and if you have a house to sell, or, are you taking money out of 401k? Are you getting a gift, or do we need some kind of down payment assistance? As for the longer years, I know it's been talked about. Right. I don't know, when or if that's going to come to fruition. But what I do know is hopefully in March, one of the biggest issues we've seen is the trigger leads, right? So as soon as we pull credit from someone, all those online lenders, right, the borrowers get flooded with phone calls. So I think it finally passed legislation, and in March it's going to be no more, which is going to be a huge help, that they're not bombarded with 700 phone calls a day from these online lenders.
From somebody who has bought from you multiple times, where you have done my loans, I completely understand the consumer's gripe with this, because it's out of control.
It is.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
So that's very good news, and I hope that actually happens.
Yeah, it's supposed to happen in March. We're really excited for it, because nobody wants to get bombarded with 60 phone calls a day.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
not. But we wanted to wrap this up, say thank you for coming. We appreciate it, to our Mortgage Celebrities studio. Again, Eric Rothenberger with the Eric Rothenberger team. Please look out for some more videos Eric and I do. We're going to talk about different topics. If there's any specific topic you're looking for, please feel free to comment below. We're happy to take suggestions.